guys. Good evening, everybody. This is Bo, and we have a very special guest today. I'm always looking around at different software and things that could help us find deals, and this software really appealed to me because it kind of does it all for you. PropStream is the name, and basically you can pull a list of pre-foreclosures, divorce, bankruptcies, tax liens, IRS, HOA liens, etc. And then they also do pretty cool stuff. They have third-party vendors that do skip tracing, text messaging, direct mail. So it's kind of an all-inclusive system. And so if you guys want to, find deals off market, I know a lot of us talk about finding deals, but none of us actually are putting systems together to do direct mail and skip trace and do call blasts and whatnot. So we got a special guest. Burton Elicondo is his name, and he works for PropStream. He does a lot of their tech and their customer service, and he helps people like us learn how to use the system a little bit better. So tonight he's going to go over kind of the high-level features of the software, what you can do with the software. We're even going to do some searches locally here in Concord just to show you what the power of the software. And then from there, we will get a free trial for 5 days, and I'll put that link. It's actually already in the chat link, and I'll send an email out to everybody. If you guys want to try the software after that, then guys can go right into it and give that a try. But without further ado, Burton, why don't you kind of take over and introduce yourself a little bit more and then go into your presentation, please.
Absolutely. First off, thank you, Bo. Thank you, everyone, for your time and this opportunity to share our product with you. So PropStream is the name of our product. It is completely web-based. This obviously gives you the luxury to log in on multiple devices, whether you're at home, at the office, on the road, traveling across the state. What PropStream has done in the last few years is we've been one of the biggest data aggregators out there. We have sources across the United States. We've collected roughly over 160 million property records. We have access to 90+% of the MLS boards across the nation. So again, you don't have to have a realtor's license to view what's being listed, what's sold on the MLS, what's pending, and what has failed on the MLS. So when you log in, it does require an email as your username and your password, but when you log in, we're going to capture your IP address and instantly zoom in the area that you're at. So by viewing the map, you can tell that I'm located here in Orange County, California. So the first thing you're going to see is our map. To the left side is our toolbar. Very top is your profile picture, or your profile page. You can update your profile information, change your username, apply your credit card, your street address. Now, the credit card information is so that when you're purchasing our third-party services like skip tracing or sending out postcards, it's just going to expedite the payment process. That way, you're not having to re-input your payment method over and over. On the left side is our toolbar, beginning with search. This is the page that we're on. The second section is properties. This is where all of your saved results and groups that you've created will be sent to. Contacts is where you can import outside information, edit contact information, as well as skip trace the groups that you've saved. And then our last section is the campaign section. This is where you can utilize the marketing elements, create a landing page, send postcards, do a voicemail drop, do an email campaign. And the last sections are help tab. This is where our video tutorials are at, our 800 number, and our email. So let's begin. So the idea here is that when you type in an area, so you have 3 possible searches that you can do. You can search by zip code, search by city, or search by a specific address. So I'll give you an example. Let's just use LA as a quick example. So when I type in a city, what PropStream will do is it will populate all of the listing types here at the top. So what I'm looking at here is that in LA, we've been able to aggregate over 23,000 recorded MLS listings, over 2,000 pre-foreclosures, 600 auctions, and then the list goes on. Cash buyers are cash bought properties. This is a great list to identify corporate buyers, individual cash buyers. Liens, these are all involuntary liens. These are not mortgages. These are not home equity lines of credits. These are, as Bo mentioned, tax liens, HOA liens, utility liens, mechanical liens. Vacant properties, we get this source from the United States Postal Service, but these are all the properties where the owners are not addressing their mail. Kind of an indicator that, hey, this is potentially a possibility of an abandoned property or a property heading into distress. And then our last category here that you see is the high equity category. This is all properties that we've been able to calculate that are sitting on $100,000 or more in equity. Now, as we're constantly pulling data, we're constantly updating our system. We've recently added some more listing types. Those listing types are, as Bo mentioned, free and clear, bankruptcy, divorce filings, and then non-owner occupied properties. So again, when you type in a city, a zip code, or a specific address, these boxes will populate based on the results that we have. So if we go to Miami, Florida, the results will populate there. All right. So let's take this example to Concord, California, really quick. That way we can see what our data looks like there. So here we have our data. So at this point, I can click on any of the categories above, and my results will populate to the right-hand side. So here I've clicked on MLS. I'll see all 2,300 results to my right-hand side. At this point, I can either click on, view the quick property details, see where they're at on the map, or I can actually click on the property itself and get into the details of every single one of these listed properties. And I'll get back to this in just a second. What we've also done with the data that we've collected is we provide you the statistics for that area. So you can get a visualization of the activity that's going on in that area. So the statistics is actually located right below. By hitting the up arrow, you'll be able to expand the statistics for the area. So here in Concord, I'm able to see price changes in the last 30 days, whether it's increase or decrease, rental changes, increase or decrease, price per square footage last year versus this year. Being that we have access to MLS data, we're able to see how long properties have been listed for. So this right here is one of my favorite features, the average days on market based on bedroom characteristics. So for example, if I purchase a 3-bedroom property, remodeled it, looking to sell it, this is going to tell me how long on average it will last on the market if I list it through a broker. So for a 3-bedroom property, when listed, roughly takes about 2 months to sell. Now, this is, for me, imperative information because if I'm using a hard lender or if I'm using my own mortgage, it's good for me to know that I might be sitting on this property anywhere between 2 to 3 months. I'm going to have to worry about those expenses within that time frame. And also, it's going to let me know what my end results will be in terms of what my take-in will be at the end of the day. We also give you marketing trends, so how many new listings have appeared in the area, how many closed listings have occurred in the last 30 days versus the previous 30 days, how many new pre-foreclosures have shown up, and this is just a comparison of last year versus this year. Average monthly rent, so if I was a buy and hold investor, I have a 3-bedroom property looking to rent it, I can see what the average price would be for a 3-bedroom in terms of what I should be asking for in rental prices. And then listing trends. So these are the last 30 days, how many homes for sale, how many homes have been sold on the MLS listings, average listing price, price per square footage, and then average days on market, whether it's increase or decrease. Now this time frame can be increased from 30, 90, 6 months to a year. So for those that are living in a more rural area, you probably want to expand it. For those living in a very high active area like Los Angeles, you probably want to keep it within the 30-day mark. We also have the list price versus sell price, showing you what the average listing price is versus what the average sell price is in the area. Sell trends, so this is actually focusing on the actual transactions. So how many homes have sold in the last 30 days versus the previous 30 days. If the average price has increased or decreased, price per square footage increase or decrease, and whether the average days on market have increased or decreased. This report, again, is available for any area that you type in. So back to Los Angeles, the statistics will populate for Los Angeles. I'm able to get a visualization of that market. So that will occur when you're typing in, again, zip codes, city, or a specific address. This report can also be printed. We do have a print icon here. What that will do for you is generate you a PDF format that can be utilized as a report to encourage a motivated seller or encourage a motivated buyer that now is the opportunity to sell or the opportunity to buy. On top of all that data that we provided and giving you the statistics for the area, we've also, within the map, embedded a heat map. And that's our analytics here at the top right. The heat map can be broken down into 4 categories: estimated value, MLS stats, price growth, or rental value. So let's say I'm an outside investor. I've never set foot on Concord. I've heard it's a great area. Simply by going to the first category and selecting estimated value, I now know, looking at the heat map, where the $1 million properties are located versus the non-$1 million properties. So if we can give it just a second to populate. Oh, so waiting here for the heat map to show up. Hang on just 1 second. See if we might be doing an update, so bear with me 1 moment. Let me see if I can refresh this really quick. Let me refresh the search. Let me just make sure it works in Los Angeles. Estimated value. Bo, I do apologize. Give me just, I'm going to go on mute really quick. I think my dev is pushing an update. Let me see if I can stop him from doing that. And hold on one. Oh, nope. He's actually pushed it through. All right. Sorry about that, guys. So there is an update going on the back end. We normally do our updates in the evening, so bear with me 1 moment. But what the heat map is supposed to do, as you can see, it's generating. It's a little lag here, but it's going to show you a heat map of the area. So I'm able to see property values based on the heat map. So here he is, perfect. So here I can see that red represents $1 million properties or more. Light blue represents properties that are under $100,000 or less. So again, without setting foot in LA, let's see if we can go back to Concord and get those same results here. Okay, perfect. So without ever setting foot in Concord, I now know where areas I should be focusing on my investment and areas not to be focusing on. So these are the 4 categories to choose from. My personal favorite is price growth. I mean, the bottom line is we want to make sure we're investing in an area that's growing. I like to usually use the 1-year growth as a starting point. So here I'm able to see, based on our heat map, red representing 100% growth, light blue representing 100% loss, green representing no change, and then everything in between. So again, without having set foot in Concord, I can now see areas that are trending towards the 100% mark. What we also embedded in the map is the ability to do a draw search. So rather than searching a specific area or a zip code or a city, you can actually just utilize the draw search feature to pinpoint, in this particular example, an area that's trending towards 100% growth. And what our system will do is only populate results in that area for you. And then the other options that we've put on the map is the ability to go from satellite view to road view. So if we can give it just a second to populate our results. All right. Did he stop the update? Hold on 1 second here. There we go. Okay, so it just took a little bit longer. My shape is probably a little weird, but here again, now we only have results isolated in our specific draw search. I now can select any category I want. So if I only want to look for cash buyers in that area, the cash buyers will populate in that area. So that's our system in terms of how you can utilize all the data that we provide to your advantage. But what really makes our system powerful is this option right here at the top. So the more section is the section where most of our investors spend their time. This is the area where you can apply any criteria that you're looking for. So rather than going through, for example, 2,000 results looking for a particular cash buyer, we can go to the more section, specify what listing type we're looking for. So I'm looking for cash buyers. And then we just work from top to bottom. So the first section is property characteristics. In this case, I'm looking for a cash buyer buying a single family property, anywhere between 3 bedrooms or more with 2 bathrooms or more. I can specify square footage. So I can say minimum 1,500 square footage. Lot size, year built. So any rehabbers out there, you can specify year built. Home features, and that's our property characteristics. The second category is MLS status. So not only am I looking for a cash buyer, I can specify whether I want their property on the market or off the market. Now, in this case, I don't care whether they're on the market. I prefer that I'm dealing with a cash buyer that's not listing their property. So I'll put off market no. But in this section, we can search for, whether it's active, pending, or sold. The third section is our foreclosure status. So I can also stack on top of my results by saying cash buyer that also has a notice of default recorded against his property with the listing date, default amount. So this would work well if I was, let's say, for example, searching for pre-foreclosures. I can specify the status, the type of document the pre-foreclosure is recorded under, when that pre-foreclosure was listed, and the default amount if I wanted to take that approach. For this example, I'm looking for cash buyers that don't have any distress statuses. So I'll ignore foreclosure status. But here in ownership info, I do want to play with this. So here I can specify years of ownership, when the last sale occurred on the property, the last sale price that was recorded, whether the owner is occupying the property or not, whether the owner is registered out of state. Now, for this example, I want an out of state cash buyer. So I want him to be registered out of state, not only registered out of state, but I want him to be an individual cash buyer or corporate cash buyer. So I'm going to choose corporate cash buyer here. And then I could specify whether I want a lien recorded the property or not. Value trend, estimated value, whether I'm looking for a property with a certain growth percentage over a certain time frame. And then last but not least, equity and mortgage information. So I can even specify how much equity I'm looking for that's calculated. For me, I usually like to look for things that are like 50% or more in equity. We can look for number of mortgages, mortgage interest rates, the term, even the loan type. So as you can see, you can build lists based on all of these criterias. So what we're really trying to do is kind of built around you. So once we apply our specifics, we're going to hit apply. And now we found one property. So out of the 2,000 recorded cash buyers, I've found the one cash buyer that fits my criteria. And what I can do now is click on the results and view all the details here. And I could verify whether the details match up to what I'm requiring. So let's see what we have here. All right, so estimated value, property characteristics are top. Is the owner individual or corporate? Corporate, as we specified. Does he live in the property? No, it's not owner occupied. Why is that? It's because I asked for an out-of-state owner. So as we can see here, this trust fund, looks like James's Trust, has been buying property in Concord when they're located in Florida. So I have now a potential buyer that's a corporate. The reason I like to look for out-of-state owners is because I'm under the impression that being that they're out of state, they probably lack knowledge and expertise in the area. So hopefully they'll rely on me and my research to hopefully enough of the experience I have, enough leverage that I have on them, and their lack of knowledge in my area, I may be able to persuade them a little bit easier. All right. So that's how our system works. So again, another example I can show you is we can search for distressed properties instead of cash buyers. So here I can, for this example, look for pre-foreclosures, the single family, 2 bedrooms or more, 1 bedroom or more, whether it's on market or not. I don't want to deal with pre-foreclosures that are on market. I prefer them not to sign a contract yet with a broker. I can specify the foreclosure status. So I want notices of defaults with a minimum of $15,000 recorded against it. Again, I also can play with whether the owner is occupied, and I like to make sure the owner is occupied. It makes it easier to hunt them down. That way I don't have to worry about an alternative address or any of that stuff. And last but not least, again, I can specify the amount of equity. So 40% will be my mark for this case. I hit apply. We've taken the 156 pre-foreclosures and narrowed them down to 9 pre-foreclosures that fit my criteria. All right. And again, for every address you pull up, whether it's listed or you search for it specifically, every one of them is selectable. And when you do that, again, we're going to give you all of the property analysis on there. So this is a point where I'm going to jump into the property details and kind of show you guys all the data that we provide you.
Hey, Burton, let me ask a quick question. I actually know the answer, but somebody asked, does this program also pull data from sources other than the MLS? The answer is yes. You can pull data, non-MLS. You can pull data from if they have HOA liens, if they have. So the MLS is just one little small component of this whole system. So you can pull data from everything.
Absolutely. So the sources that we aggregate from is county records, mortgage companies, title companies, United States Postal Service, the MLS boards. Unfortunately, I see the Craigslist question. We don't pull from Craigslist only because we can't verify the listing. So that is not one of our sources, unfortunately. However, I will say this. In our system, we do have an import feature. So if you are able to pull, let's say, a list from Craigslist, you could actually import that into our system, skip trace the list, get their phone numbers if you'd like, and even market to them if you want to do that. So, but in terms of our sources, again, that's MLS, county, mortgage, title companies, United States Postal Service.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, so again, once we get our results, in this case, I've populated 9 pre-foreclosures that fit my criteria. I can select on all of them, and we're back to the property details page. So just a quick rundown of what we're seeing here. The top part is our dashboard. So it shows us our estimated value based on our patent algorithm, whether the property is on market or off. In this case, it's off. I did specify that. Whether the property is distressed, and that's the case. We were looking for pre-foreclosures. But here's the cool part that our system does. I was looking for pre-foreclosures. What I did not know was that there was a lien also attached to this property. So what PropStream will do is, again, it'll take all of the other sources that we have and populate that for you. That way you're not walking into a trap where you just think there's only one recording and no attachments attached to it. So unfortunately, this is probably not a good lead for me, as again, I found out that there's a lien attached to it that was just issued last year. But with our dashboard, you get the property characteristics, whether the owner is there, occupied there, property type. We also give you access to historical photos. So this property was at one point listed through the MLS, and we've been able to aggregate those photos for you. So this is perfect for anybody that's hands-on or kind of want to see the interior, exterior, see any possibilities of remodeling. We also give you the ability to look at bird's eye view and obviously rotate the map. And if we have the availability, we also give you access to street level. All right. All right, so here is our dashboard. The value box shows you the estimated value, the last recorded sale, how the property has trended in the last 5 years. Comparables, these are county recorded comps. We found 27 like properties within a half-mile radius. Here's their average sell price, the average days on market. I'll go over in the details really quick. We can actually dissect the 27, so I'll show you that in just a few. And then here are the average comps from last year versus this year. And then our opportunity box. So here we're able to show you what the estimated equity is, the monthly rent at a local level. Now this is generated because we have access to the MLS. We're able to see what people are listing properties with the same features for, and then again, whether it has a lien and the lien amount and the mortgage balance. Now, all of this data that we just saw here at the dashboard, it's all right below. So you'll see that we have several tabs, beginning with property details, who the owner is, whether there's an alternative address, a second owner, property characteristics, site information, assessment value, last sell information. We even pull the mortgage information. So the last mortgage, when it was recorded, we even have the mortgage. Oh, wow. That is a killer rate. Anyhow, okay, sorry, a little sidetrack. But mortgage term, whether the mortgage type as well, and then prior sell information. So again, if I'm a seller finance or a lender, I'm able to see people's interest rates, their original loan amount. We also have access to the pre-foreclosure details. Being that this was a notice of default, we can see when it was recorded, the default date, who the trustee is that's in charge of the property, their name, and how to get hold of them. Again, lien information. So this allows me to see any other distress attachments to it. And then my personal favorite of the bunch is the comparables and nearby listings. So here what we've done is we've taken all of the sources that we have, all the lead types that we have, and we've populated them for you around the property. So every single one of the lead types except for comps is within a 1 mile radius. For comps, we wanted to make it a lot more aggressive, so we did a 1/2 mile radius. So starting with the first box, these 27 are the 27 that are up here. So here I'm able to see where they are at on the map, their property characteristics, sell amount, the sell date. I can organize by column and so forth. Now, what we're also able to do is, as you can see, the comps is just an average. You can see that some comps are not true comps. So this 5.2, 4.2, we do have a few other ones that we can deselect. But what our system will do for you is once we selected the ones that we really like, or if we filter using our filter, you can now hit the view report button and it will generate a PDF file, a report for you based on the comps that you've selected. So now we're able to see our low, our high, and our average. And again, this is just another powerful report we can use in terms of motivating a seller or motivating a buyer. We also, with our comps section, give you the ability to draw search an area. So there are going to be times where you're in an area that might be very close to a different subdivision. So with the draw search feature, you're able to only identify comps within a given area. So that could definitely come into play for very populated areas like downtown Chicago, downtown Los Angeles, downtown New York.
Burton.
Yes.
Let me ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Just as we're going, people are asking questions, and I usually like to wait to the end, but
No problem.
How often are these lists? Like, for example, how often, like, if they notice that the default is filed or something like that, how do you guys update daily, or how do your updates work?
Yeah, so our system updates every day. We push updates, as you were seeing earlier. We push updates usually in the evening, but counties and all of the boards, all of the sources we have will send us data and essentially get logged and we push them through. Now, there's two types of updates. There's our update, which we do daily, and then there's the county or the sources update that we receive. So it's really hard to say exactly when we do updates for a given area, but I'll kind of show you how one would want to identify that. So, for example, if I'm curious to know how recent these updates are, I can click on Concord, click on the first category, MLS, and I'm able to see the listing date. So, actually, let me clear out my filter. So here I am. So I'm able to see the last listing date. So here in Concord, the last update we received was July 27th. And you can see how many we have. Now, if we go down the list, we're able to see previous recordings. So we go in chronological order, most recent. So here, 27, the last update. Oh, wow, they had, 26. So for them, they usually do it on a daily basis. It usually takes us anywhere between 1 to 3 business days to put in our format and then push it through. But again, this is for MLS data. Pre-foreclosures come from the county. So we're able to show you the last update here. So my point is that every category will have a different update. We don't update all the categories on the same day. So you might get an update today on MLS, but not get an update on pre-foreclosures. But the following day, there might be an update with pre-foreclosures and liens, but no update on MLS, if that makes sense. So in this case, for liens, the last recorded update we pulled from Concord was on July 18th versus pre-foreclosures, the last update provided was July 27th. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, and is there a place when we're doing searches that we can compile, like properties? Maybe we're doing multiple searches. Where can we keep them stored, or what's the best way?
Oh, good question. So our system not only allows you to do all the filtering part, but you can save your searches. So let me do a really quick example. So let's say I'm doing pre-foreclosures in Concord, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Let's do just that notice of default, 1,500, 15,000. Okay, so once you apply your criteria, you'll get your results on the right-hand side. But the Save Search button at the top right is what you're referring to. And this is a very powerful feature. So what this allows you to do is save that template. So we can call this the Concord pre-foreclosures, and then we can put some details. So single family, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, notice of default 15K. We give you the ability to replace one of these boxes. So if you don't, let's say, look for cash buyers, or you don't need vacant properties, you can actually replace that box. So that way, going forward, only your results will populate in that box.
So if you do a save search, will that automatically update when the data updates for that specific information?
Absolutely. And not only will it do that, Bo, we will notify you if something changes. So here is the email option. This is why your username is your email. So today we had 15 results. If I select immediately, if tomorrow 15 turns into 16, I get an email notification saying a new property with your criteria just appeared. So that notification can be immediate, at the end of the day, or at the end of the week.
So what this is cool too, because if you have a virtual assistant, I know Paul's on the line. He uses a VA for a lot of his. You could actually just have this list emailed to your VA or whoever, and they have their certain tasks to mail a letter or do whatever. So that's pretty useful.
Absolutely. And so once you save your criteria, if you didn't replace a box, they'll go into your all searches. So the idea there is, let's say I log off, go to sleep. The next morning I log in. Sure, I can type in all of my criteria again, or I just can go to my saved searches, and then my pre-foreclosures with my criteria will instantly populate to my right-hand side. All right. So back to just to show you the rest of the property details. So not only do we have the comps and the county recorded comps, but what I like the most that our company has done is we've also given you the MLS activities in that area. So here's the important part for me is the county comps are cool, but here's the challenge that I normally see when people give me county recorded comps as their research or report. So in this case, the last county recorded comp was on May 18th, and I've chronologically put them in order. So the last recorded comp was May 18th. Now this is again from our county source, but because we have access to the MLS board, we're able to see the MLS's activity. And what is important for me in that sense is I'm able to see sold activity that has happened after May 18th. So this was a sold property that occurred at the very end of June that has not yet populated through the county's recording office. So for me, when I'm giving people their comp averages, I'm utilizing both resources. I'm using comps up until May 18th, and then I go to the MLS section and I look for comps after May 18th so I can give that lead or that seller or that buyer a more aggressive comparable average, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then again, we have all the other listing types. So if I'm interested in seeing, who are the cash buyers within a 1 mile radius, we also populate that for you, the property and when it's sold. So again, if I'm looking for a cash buyer within the immediate area, we also have that for you. Tax information. I like this because it shows us the tax value, whether there's improvement or not. But most imperative is where the tax bill mailing address is going. Now, I like to highlight this only because cash buyers, if you're promoting to them, you'll notice that they are buying one property, but they're obviously located elsewhere. This will show you where they're getting their tax mailing. So they may buy 123 Sesame Street, but where they're getting their taxes may be at a PO box or at a different address in a different state. And I think that's important because rather than sending our marketing elements to the property they bought, we want to send it to where they're getting their mailing, their tax bill at. If that hopefully I shed some light on that picture a little bit. Mortgage information, just kind of a little cleanup of the mortgage activity, and then transaction history. Last but not least is our document reports. This is an area where you can upload your own documents, contracts, photos, anything you see relevant. We also give you the ability to buy reports directly from the county, like the accessor map or the document image scan. All right. Now, the last 3 things on every property detail that we give you is the print button, the analysis, and Rehab Calculator. So let's begin with print. What the print button does is it gives you a CMA report. So this is not, oh, we're just going to hit print and you print what you see on the screen. We're actually going to give you a very beautiful report you can use to your advantage. So this is what our CMA report looks like. So here you see the property image. property characteristics, the comps, whether there's an opportunity or not, property description, last sell information, if there are any open liens recorded against it, any involuntary liens, ownership history, listing history. We also slap the comps map on here. So green representing the subject property, red are the county comps, yellow are the nearby listings I was showing you earlier. We've also taken the historical photos and slapped them on here. And last but not least, we took the statistics on the first map and slapped them on here as well. So this is a printable report, again, you can use in your portfolio in terms of motivating or encouraging someone to sell. Right, and the second feature here is our analysis wizard. This is a very generic, universal analysis wizard. Here you're able to apply your purchasing costs, so what you bought the property for. Are you doing any improvements? You can break down the details. What mortgage information, so here you're able to apply your mortgage information. So if you're using a hard lender or you're using your own mortgage, you can apply your information here. Whether you're renting out the property, what are your monthly expenses, what are you selling the house for? I'm selling it once it hits a certain cap rate, or I'm selling it at a certain fixed price. But the idea here is based on the variables that you've applied, we're going to break down all those variables and give you a complete analysis. So the analysis will be broken up into multiple reports, such as your purchase analysis, your rehab analysis, your expense analysis, tax, and cash flow. So the idea here is to calculate, again, if you're sitting on the property for 6 months, you can use our analysis wizard to see what your return will be 6 months from now. And then the last feature is my personal favorite. This is for any rehabbers out there. So our Rehab Calculator is hosted by a third party. When you select the Rehab Calculator, it will redirect you to a company called Bluehammer. Now, Bluehammer is one of the leading providers in terms of providing estimates, and they do it at a local level. So here's how it works. So when you save the property, or when you hit the Rehab Calculator, Bluehammer will capture the property and their zip code. Now, it's very simple. So we can either open an existing project if we have any, or just create a new one. So here, I'm going to do a quick example. I'm going to create a kitchen project. So I'm going to call this kitchen. So once we create our project, we have two options. So this is how I like to break it down. The bottom option is searching by individual action. So if there are any rehabbers out there that are very hands-on, you can order on an item-by-item basis. If you know what items are needed for a project, you can choose those items, and what Bluehammer will do is give you the cost based on that local level. Now, for the not so hands-on rehabbers out there, so let's say you're just looking to do a quick rehab, get a few dollars into the property, get that little gain, you can do popular projects. What Bluehammer does is it allows you to choose by the popular projects in that area. So in this case, I'm going to do kitchen. And the most popular project there is, in our neighborhood, is cabinets and countertops. So I'm going to choose that. I can choose the size of the project, or the project I want to do. So I want to replace cabinets and countertops. I have a medium-sized kitchen with an island. I can choose the type of quality material I want. So I can use the best quality or the cheapest quality or somewhere in between. And last but not least, where are we making these repairs? So clearly we're going to be putting it in the kitchen. Once I hit add to estimate, Bluehammer does its magic. So what Bluehammer is going to do now is give you the breakdown cost. So it's $20,000 roughly to perform this project in Concord. I do it myself cost is $12,000. The number of line items to complete the project is 20, and the material quality used is good. Now, if I go to project details, it breaks down all of the project items I need to do. It even includes things like carrying out the trash to the trash bin, how many hours it would take, what the cost is per hour at a local level, and what your total cost will be simply by taking out the trash. Again, I love this because most estimates that you get really don't include all the finer things here. I know there are some estimates I've seen where you go to like Home Depot's page and you put the items and then they calculate your cost. But again, they're not calculating the removing of the current items, the debris that needs to be taken out of the property. That's what Bluehammer is going to do for you. And then we have the project report. So if we wanted to print this report, we can. So once we do our rehabbing, get our estimate, we now can use this in our leverage to prevent contractors from giving us a ridiculous price or trying to swindle us for a lot more than they should. Right? And so once you run your rehab calculator, you can again print that report. If and when you save it, we're also going to throw a copy, as you can see. A copy is embedded here in the documents and reports, so that way we don't have to run it again. We can just print it and hand it to our contractors. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the search part of our system, right? So you type in an area, we'll give you the statistics. You have the ability to use our heat map to identify a certain category that is of interest to you. You can filter your results to narrow down rather than going through, the 150 pre-foreclosures. You can click on the addresses to view their details, their comps, the MLS listings, the MLS comps, run the rehab calculator. But ultimately, you're going to want to save them if they're the ones that you're interested in. So you can select them all, or you can save them individually. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these, and I'm going to call them my Concord pre-foreclosures. So let's call these guys that. All right. All right, so now that we've built our lists, saved them, we're now going to the second part of our system. That's the property page. So here is where all of your saved searches are going to be listed. So as we can see here, they're all listed in alphabetical order. I have my Concord pre-foreclosure. So when I select on that group, I only see those results. This is where I can do my last minute analysis, my last minute vetting. I also have the ability to highlight and remove any ones I don't like anymore. I can migrate them to a different group. I can put them into a marketing list. I can even export them if I want to take them outside of our system. So we give you that feature as well. But what I really enjoy about this section are these 4 boxes here at the top. So we understand that as you're saving property, you're probably going to take a few days to monitor those properties, analyze them, vet them. That's where these boxes come into play. They're going to help you with monitoring all the properties that you save. So here I have over just shy of 4,000 properties. So rather than going through them individually one at a time to see what has happened in the next few days, these boxes will instantly show me all the new recordings. So here it shows me the 239 properties within my 4,000 that have had new recordings. So here I can either highlight them and delete them. Same with recently sold. So none of my lists have recently sold. That's good. No one's beaten me to the punch yet. Are there any status changes? So have any of my properties have gone on the market, off the market? Have they been sold? And then auctions. So if I'm, let's say auctions for me is the threshold. Once they get there, I'm not interested. I can highlight them all and just remove them off my list. All right. We've also, just as for funds and giggles a little bit, we've also included some contracts for you to use. So if you finally got someone to agree to purchase and sell, here's a contract that you can use. If you're renting out your property and someone forgets to pay you, we even have a notice of past due contract that you can use. These all can be assigned to each individual property that you'd like. So that's our property page. So again, what's important here is the ability to vet, delete, export, and then monitor your properties over the next few days. The third category. Now this is when you're finalizing, for me, this is the part where once you're done vetting and you've really narrowed down your properties to a selected few, this is where the context page comes into play. So here we throw all of your saved properties into one bucket, and so you're able to see all the properties here. You can click on them and edit their information. So if I'm able to capture phone numbers and emails through social media, or let's say I call them and I got a contact, I can change their name. Also, I have the ability to add a new contact. So if I wanted to just add someone to the system, I can do that. Import. This is that question regarding that Craigslist. So if I did get an outside list of leads that I didn't find through our system, you can actually import that into our database. So you can import your list, save it to a new group, and then you can use our skip trace feature or our campaign feature. All right. But most importantly, for me, the most important feature here is our skip trace feature, the append jobs. So this feature, when you select add new, it allows you to take your saved lists and capture emails, landlines, and cell phones. So I'll show you how that's done. So we're going to hit select lists, and I'm going to choose from my drop-down menu. I'm going to find my Concord pre-foreclosures, and it's going to list all of the owners in alphabetical order. As you can see, I have no emails, no phone numbers yet. Oh, I can deselect any names I don't need anymore. In this case, I want them all. I'm going to go ahead and hit add selected contacts. So now they're in my selected contacts box. At this point, I can proceed, or I can continue to add more groups to capture contact information. But we'll stick with the 15 for now. So I'm going to go ahead and process that. I can modify my list if I made any mistakes, but I'm not, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. All right, this is the breakdown. So our price point for skip tracing is 10 cents per number, 10 cents per email. So in this option, it's asking me what information would I like per address. So for each address, I want 1 landline if possible, 2 cell phones if possible, 2 emails if possible. We also give you the ability to scrub the phone numbers against the national do not call list. By default, we scrub it. If you're feeling a little risky, you can not scrub it. However, you will get a legal disclaimer, so be careful with that.
Are you getting charged only on the records that are found, or all the ones you're looking for?
Great question, Bo, and it's the first. We only bill you for what we capture. So what we see here in the payment screen is our 15 contacts selected, the number of landlines we've requested. So we asked for 1, 10 cents a piece, that's $1.50. Cell phone numbers, 2 a piece, that's $30, $3. Email, $3. My total cost is $7.50, but this cost is not your real cost. This is the authorized cost. So we're going to authorize your credit card for this amount when we place the order. So the reason for the authorization is to make sure the funds are there, and so that we can get started with getting your list. So once we authorize the card, right below append jobs, you will see your ticket, which is the date and your ticket number. So here are the 15 that I've selected. The status is processing. So within the next 30 minutes to an hour, our third party is capturing those phone numbers for you. Just so we don't have to wait that long, I did an example prior to this webinar. So here's one I did an hour ago. So here's 20 contacts I've selected. And here is what they look like after the status is complete at the top. So again, we go from no emails, no phone numbers, to emails and phone numbers now populated. And Bo, to answer your question, so in this particular example, I did 20, and I asked for 1 landline, 2 cell phones, 2 emails. So if we do the math, it's a little bit over, I believe, $6. But in the summary, this is what we've actually charged you. Because we only captured 6 landlines, you're only being billed 60 cents. Because we only captured 15 cell phones, only $1.50. And because we only captured 19 emails, you're only billing $1.90. So we, again, only charge you for the result, not for the service.
Cool. So if we compiled our own list, let's say we had our VAs on Craigslist, putting together a list of landlords. So we're putting property addresses in from Craigslist. Then we could actually scrub that list and then pull and then skip trace and find the owners that way too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bare minimum when it comes to our skip tracing feature is the least amount of information we need is just their last name, address, and zip code. So as long as you have their last name, address, and zip code, we can pull their information for you.
All right.
All right. So I'll let that process. But yeah, so this is the results, what it looks like. And for me, this is the part that I export. I usually don't export in the properties page. I usually wait until I capture their contact information, and then I export it, which gives you a CSV file / Excel file. And then for any users out there that are using Salesforce, or if you have your own marketing websites that you go to, or if you want to hand this to one of your assistants, here's that Excel sheet with their landlines, cell phones, and emails. All right. And so again, that's for me the most important feature in our contacts page is to collect their data as well as import outside information. But ladies and gentlemen, the last part in our system is the campaign section. So if you just want to go straight into marketing directly to your leads, our campaign section is going to help you with that. So this is how it works. So when you are in the campaign section, you're going to want to start a new campaign. You're going to have to name that campaign. So I'm going to call this my Concord Pre-foreclosures. You're going to want to choose the group of campaign groups that you've saved. So in this case, I'm going to actually choose the appended job that I've selected. So that's here at the very bottom. All right. I can proceed. I can add more groups if I needed to. So if I'm campaigning to not only the 15, but other individuals as well, I can add them. But we'll stick with the 15 for now. So I'm going to hit save. And it's going to say you have successfully created a new campaign, the name of our campaign. Here's a few suggested things to do next. The first thing we're going to recommend you do, and this is for free, is set up a free website. So this website's a landing page, really. It's, again, free. You don't have to worry about paying any monthly subscriptions for it, but here's how it works. So we give you a generic URL. It's www.relistings.com. You have the ability to change the last part. So, Bo, I'm going to use you as an example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that URL is available. Contact email. As you can see in the background, your web page will have an application process. When someone applies their information and hits the send button, where would you like that notification to be emailed to? So you could put any email you want. So if you want your assistant's email, you want them to answer all their notifications, you can put your assistant's email here. The third option is, because we know you're going to probably do more than one campaign down the road, you can save whatever customized design you're doing in the next few minutes for future use. So if you want to save your templates, check for yes and check for no. The fourth option is, do you want to start with a blank template or do you want to use a predefined template? Let's use a predefined template just to save some time. All right, so this is what the web page editor looks like. So here I can change the banner image. I can apply my company logo. I can apply images such as my family, the family pet, or properties I've sold in the past. I can change the header. I can change the body. So once I'm done, customizing my website to fit exactly what I need to promote exactly my services, I can preview what that web page looks like on an actual website. So we'll open a different tab for you, show you what it looks like. And if we like what we see, we just select publish and our website's fully activated. So I can now take this link, put it on my Facebook, put it on my social media, open a new tab, search for it on Google, and that's our website. So what we're doing for you is helping you establish credibility, especially in today's society where everyone has a smartphone. It's going to avoid that question, well, do they have a website? With a few clicks, you can create one. You don't have to pay a membership at Wix or any other website. If you choose to do so, even better. I can't stop you. But again, for those that don't have that luxury, we're going to take care of that for you.
So you get, if you join this, you get one website like that, or can you do multiple, or is it
No,
just
you
one?
can do multiple. So here is our Concord campaign. So as you can see, I've done multiple campaigns. I have a different website. So for the Concord, this is my URL with your name. But for the LA pre-foreclosures I did today, I had a different URL. So essentially, it's one free landing page for every campaign. So if I have 100 campaigns, I technically could have 100 different landing pages.
So you could do like like, for example, if you're marketing to people that have HOA liens, you could do a special, top tips when you have an HOA liens, or, commonly asked questions, and you can have them go there, and then basically create different landing pages for the campaign.
Correct. Yeah. So if you're specifying to cash buyers, then your campaign might have a URL, like in this case, Burton, the cash buyer. And yeah, so your message would only be designed for them, or you can be generic and just blast it to everyone. Again, it's one free landing page per each campaign, and you can have as many campaigns as you like.
Cool.
All right, so that's our web page. So once we've published it, we can save it. And then we can go back into our campaign dashboard. So this is our campaign dashboard. The name of our campaign at the top. We can edit that if we need to. We can shut down our campaign. Now be careful with that, because shutting down your campaign shuts down your website. What you don't want to do is you don't want to send out a postcard and then say, okay, I'm done sending out my postcard. Let me end the campaign. Because if you do that, and if you have your website on your postcard, if you end the campaign, there's no website for them to go to anymore because you've shut that down.
So Burton, so obviously, if we're running a campaign for specific we're running build a website for a specific campaign, and then we use your service and we do the one touch where we send out a postcard. Then we can have, so you actually have tracking for each of these websites that we create, so we can see where the lead's coming from.
Right. So right below the website editor is our activity monitor. So this highlights how many recipients we've selected. So in this case, it was the 15 that I saved from our search earlier. If and when I send postcards, it's going to show me how many have been sent. So let's say of the 15, I only wanted to send 2. It would show me 2 here. This is an upcoming feature, but online ads, when we're sending out ads, it's going to monitor how many ads have been sent out. Total email click-through. So this I like. This is how many emails have actually been clicked on. So you might send an email to 100 individuals, but this is only going to monitor the ones that have been clicked on. And then voicemail delivers. Again, you're going to do a ringless voicemail drop. This will monitor how many of those have been successfully delivered. And then total website visits. So how many people are visiting your website? In this case, we visit it, so you got our 1 hit here so far.
So your voicemail system, okay, so we got 15. Let's say we had 15 people on this list,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to send out a ringless voicemail to them. Does that go to both their cell phone or landlines, or
It goes to all of the ones that we have available with their information. So if in the contacts they had their landline and their cell phone, then we're going to hit both of them.
And then before we order it, like if we clicked on it, it would give us the price. Is it like 10 cents a voicemail or something like that?
That is correct. It's 10 cents per voicemail, and then it's 10 cents per successful voicemail. So just because we captured their phone number, we can't guarantee that their voicemail is not set up or that their voicemail box is full. So in the event that we come across a voicemail that's full or not set up, we don't bill you for dialing out. So you don't get billed for that at all. We only charge you for the successful drops.
And do you guys, I don't know I know you're planning on it. Do you have SMS yet or no?
Not yet. It is a feature we're going to be applying fairly soon. I don't have an ETA for that yet.
Cool.
All right. So in this case, once again, we have our activity monitor, and then below that, we have our activities. So beginning with postcards, similar to the website, select Get Started. You can name your postcard to whatever postcard you'd like. You can choose whether it's standard or a larger size. Now, the difference is pricing. So standard is roughly 64 cents a postcard. The larger size is roughly 78 cents a postcard. Do you want to save your template for future use? Check yes, uncheck no. Do you want to start with a blank postcard, or do you want to use one of our templates? So to save time, let's just use a quick template. But this is what the editor looks like. So this is the front side. This is the back side. You can upload more images. If I wanted to add more images, I have the ability to upload from my system. You can change the color. If I'm editing the front side and I want it to look like the back side, I don't have to spend time on the back side. I can just hit copy to back side, and it will just migrate my design. And then last feature is a full editor. So the advanced editor will allow you to either create one from ground up or even edit our templates if you don't like how we have it set up for you. All right. Once you're done customizing your postcard, the options that you have is the print and mail. So when you hit print and mail, you'll be forced to publish your design. Once you publish your design, the 2 options that you have is you can download your design via PDF. So you can now take your design and take it elsewhere or do it yourself, or you can have PropStream send it out for you. So if I hit next, it's going to give you my costs. So here's my custom design, the amount of addresses I've uploaded, and what my cost will be. So once I hit submit order, They're going to process my custom design, whatever you've designed, and then they're going to send it first class.
And pricing doesn't matter as far as volume. It's just a standard price, right? So
Right, it is standard price. We had to work what I call the Goldilocks, because there are going to be some users that have very minimal elements, and there are going to be users that have 30 different elements applied to their postcard. So we had to find a number that was going to accommodate the provider. That way we're not sending them, postcards with 30, 40, 50 elements, and they get eventually mad at us down the road.
got it. Yeah. And so your data, how you aggregate, I mean, you're getting MLS data from every state. I mean, is there states that you're not in, or are you pretty much in every state?
No, we're pretty much, for the most part, in every state. I have yet to find a zip code where I don't see an MLS result.
Yeah,
Now, we may
well,
not have the entire MLS. Again, we're aggregators. We're not tapped into the MLS, so we don't have the day of results. Again, we have to put it in our format. That could take anywhere between 1 to 3 business days.
because one of my buddies is on, and he asked, and he's in Little Rock, Arkansas, for example. So
You know what? Once I run through this, I can pull that up really quick if you'd like.
yeah, why not?
All right, so that's our postcard feature there. Again, once you've uploaded narrow results, captured your contact information, we can send them. Actually, let me take that back. Postcards, you don't need to aggregate contact information because we already have their address. So if you don't want to pay for the contact information, you just want to send postcards, you can go straight into postcards without getting contact info. But voicemails and emails, those require the contact info. So with voicemails, again, this is a ringless VM. We do not dial out, so they're never going to get a ring. What's going to happen is they'll get a missed call notification with the caller ID that you've selected. So you can actually upload your own caller ID. Once you do that, it'll become a drop down. So here's one I've selected already. You can upload your own recording. If you're very tech savvy, you can record yourself. Just make sure it's a WAV format, and then you can choose it from your computer directory. If you're not tech savvy like I am, you can select Create New. You'll be given an 800 number and a PIN. So you can call, record your message over the phone, and then hit Save New Recording, and your message will be captured. The last step is, the second to last step is schedule. So we do calls Monday through Sunday. And what time frame would you like these calls to be made? So we can call as early as 8 o'clock, as late as 9 o'clock at night. And then last but not least is calls per minute. Again, this is a ringless VM. The reason why I emphasize that is I get a lot of consumers call in and they're like, well, Burton, I don't want to make calls on Monday. You're not calling anybody. What's going to end up happening is the voicemail will just be dropped. So even if you started at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're not going to get a ring. What's going to end up happening is whenever they wake up, they're going to look at their phone and they're going to see missed call with the caller ID you've applied and one new VM. So they're not going to get a ring. You're not going to be waking up anybody in the middle of the night or the middle of the morning. All right, and then once we do select our calls per minute, here's just my personal tip. Always choose 30. It's better to just get done with your list. And that way, again, drop the voicemails. That way you can start with the new call. The reason why I say 30 is if you are you can only process one VM at a time. So if you, let's say, do one call a minute and you have a list of 500, it's going to take 500 minutes to get your job done. So within those 500 minutes, you cannot run another voicemail drop. It's probably better that you do 30 calls a minute. That way, within about 25 minutes, your 500 list is done. And then the last campaign is our email campaign. So here you create the email campaign name. What do you want the subject title to state? So we can put, hey, cash buyers. And here you can apply an outside website that they can click on and get redirected to, or by default, if you created a website with us, we put your website automatically there for you. And we can do what we call an email time, so we can send this at a specific time, or we could just send it immediately. Again, we could save our template for future use, or we can not, and then you can start with the blank template.
And also we can direct our, if we have a custom domain name like Sell Your House Fast, Little Rock, Arkansas, we can actually mask it or direct it to that, correct? So
Correct. Yeah, that's where the custom URL will come into play.
got it.
All right. And so once we, do our custom editor and choose our layout, we can publish it. Or if we want to preview it, you can actually email it to yourself. And within the next few seconds, you'll get an email showing you what you've sent out. So let me see if I can show you guys what that looks like. All right, so here's my email. It's, hey, cash buyers. And that's what the email will look like. And then to learn more, by clicking on it, I get redirected to our landing page. So now I have the ability to get more information about who is providing the service and then even apply that contact information. So as you guys can see, what we're doing is kind of bringing it all around into one circle for you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's PropStream in a nutshell for you. So the last again section is our help section, and this is just where our video tutorials are, as well as our contact information at the very bottom. But just to reiterate what I've done, starting with the toolbars on the left side, top to bottom, searching is where you would type in a given area. You said Little Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you type in your area, and you get all the listing types. So here we have over 7,000 recorded MLS listings in Little Rock. So I can just click on my results, and sure, it can spend tons of time going through them one at a time. Again, ladies and gentlemen, use the filter. This is going to narrow down, all sold MLSs that are 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, single family. So if I wanted to see MLS comps, I've now isolated all the sold MLSs. So use the filter. Once you've narrowed down your filter, again, you can save that filter for future use. Click on the properties to look at their details, look at the comps, run the Rehab Calculator. Ultimately, you're going to want to save your results, which go to the second category. This is the section where you monitor and export, delete. The third step is either importing outside information or taking your existing groups and getting their contact info. Let's actually, I'm curious, I'm still processing. And then the last section is our campaign section. So this is where you take your results and the contact information you've collected from them and directly market to them. So again, I know most investors out there already have their outside websites, but for those that are starting, you don't have any memberships with, a marketing element, we're going to be able to take care of that for you guys.
That's great.
And that's pretty much it right there for you guys.
Sure. Let me ask you a few questions since we got you on. Somebody wanted to know, I don't know if you're familiar with RealFlow, but they're wondering, how do you guys compare your program to RealFlow? Have you?
I've seen just a sample of it a little bit. It's really hard to compare in terms of data because it's really apples to oranges, and I'll explain that to the viewers. No 2 entities are ever going to have the same data. It's not like what we have, they have, and what they have, we should have. What's going to end up happening is, let's use Los Angeles, for example, right? So Real eFlow will have, let's say, 1,000 MLS listings or 1,000 pre-foreclosures. And let's say we have the same number, 1,000 MLSs, 1,000 pre-foreclosures. It's the details that are different. So what ultimately happens is that they might not have mortgage information. We have the mortgage rates, mortgage term, the comps, the access to the MLS. But as well as within the 1,000 results, the 1,000 addresses we have will not be identical to the 1,000s that they have. So they might have some addresses that we don't have. We might have addresses that they don't have. This is where the import section comes into play, because we're fully aware that, again, you may capture a list outside of our system. And that's even better. If that's the case, go ahead and import it, and then you can skip trace and then go straight into the campaign section. Now, in terms of like features, what defies us over them, again, I haven't played with their system, or I'm not a member, to be honest with you, so I don't know exactly like what small differences there are to play. All I can tell you is that our system is in terms of providing or helping you build a list, whether it's a list of distress or motivated sellers or motivated buyers. That's the only definition I can give you in terms of what we do.
Cool. Guys, so in the chat box, I put you get a 5-day trial if you click on that link. You guys can try it out. I think it's like after the 5 days, it's $69 a month. And obviously, um, if you're doing email blasts or phone calls, there's charges for that and direct mail. But I mean, the system's, if you want to pull absentee owner lists and skip trace them, and it's kind of pretty simple to use. So if you guys aren't doing any marketing and you want to find deals, I think it's a pretty good way to start. And then you can also, I know a lot of us, you can import your data, and then you can also skip trace too, using all-in-one system. And you get the rehab budget and everything, which is a good, just kind of a rule of thumb. You can just put in numbers and print a property report. So it's everything I've seen so far is pretty awesome. So I'm going to dive into it this week and do some marketing and see the results I get. But I appreciate all. Oh, hold on one second. We got another question here. Lisa said, I've subscribed before, but had a lot of difficulty using. You made it look so friendly, Burton. Are there tutorials?
The only tutorials, first off, thank you for that. That's a very good compliment. We do have the help tab, which will give you some tutorials, just pretty much showing you how to do a search, what the results will look like, taps into the property page and marketing list. Our marketing team, unfortunately, is still working on video tutorials. We're going to be possibly opening up to webinars later on down the road. So to answer your question, we don't have anything at the moment except for those video tutorials. So I'm going to emphasize this right now while I'm on the line with all of you guys. Call our customer support center. You guys get that trial period. I say it's very imperative that you call me. As a matter of fact, when you call our customer support line, let me put that number on here for you. If you'd like, I can't guarantee my availability, but ask for me directly. Say, hey, I'd like to speak to Burton, and I'd be happy to give you guys some one-on-one time. If I need to refresh your memory on what we did, or maybe run some examples in your area on how to find corporate cash buyers or tax liens, call this 800 number here. I'm here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 in California. Call in and just ask for me. I'll take care of you.
And also, guys, I did record this, so I will send it out, and I'll also host it on the Thrive website. Like there's plenty of videos from our previous interviews and webinars and live events. So, be sure you're going on there to check this out. It'll be up probably in the next 2 or 3 days. So you can use this as a refresher too, just all the features. And it really just got to get in. A lot of these software programs, it's really about just getting in and playing with it, and you'll figure it out. A lot of people they get it and they don't do anything with it, and that's why they don't get the results they want to get. It's because you gotta get in there and figure out what lists make the most sense for me. Like, I personally like out-of-state property owners, and I think if you can pull a list like that with maybe some delinquent property taxes.
Absolutely.
It's just that's a motivated seller right there, right? And then you just import the list and pull the email address and get the landline, their cell phone if it's available, and then just market to them. It's pretty simple. It's with technology today, it's a lot easier to market to motivated sellers than it's ever been.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys, for your time. Again, if you have any question, do not hesitate to ask. In my book, no question is ever silly. It's best that you clear up that question because it could be very important to your investment. So again, don't hesitate. My name is Burton. Just ask for me directly when you guys call in.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And we'll be talking soon. Thanks a bunch.
Anytime, Bo. Take it easy.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.